Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. To start things off, both Bitcoin and Ethereum options have seen their realized volatility decline, while their implied volatility is on the rise as well. Combining these metrics with others, it can be noted that the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum might be due for a surge in the near term. And there's a little pretty chart right there. Implied volatility is a measure of the volatility of the markets in the near future, i.e., it is a forecast of a likely movement in a security's price. As seen above, the 3-month IV was on the decline after the 50% fall of Bitcoin, which we're going to try and get into in a couple of seconds as well. For some reason, the thing that happened 18, 19, 20 days ago is nonstop in the news. While the IV was on the decline, the RV was on the rise, indicating more volatility than implied. The same was the case with Ethereum, as its IV was on the decline, while the RV was rising. This rise in RV was directly related. The price rise that was happening with Bitcoin as it was trying to successfully breach the $7,000 level. Furthermore, the approaching halving might also be forcing the age-old narrative of the price rising before the halving. Additionally, for Bitcoin, the put-call ratio was on decline, highlighting that its put-sell was reducing with the calls buy were on the rise. For Ethereum, however, the percentage of short-dated options has been on the rise, while long-dated options were declining. There's another little pretty chart right there. We are seeing, for some reason at the moment, an increased amount of volatility in the cryptocurrency market that we have not seen for a while. In 2018, 2019, I think a lot of people entered the cryptocurrency market maybe when it was at its lowest, or had just come in at the end of 2017 and had only experienced a huge upward movement of the cryptocurrency market. But what we saw during 2018 and 2019 was very odd. It was complete sideways movements for sometimes months at a time. There was no real indication as to why the cryptocurrency market was trending sideways for such a long period of time, especially when a lot of the times we were actually getting very good news as far as regulations, implementations, upgrades, what have you, across the cryptocurrency market. But the last couple of months, we've definitely seen not even a spike in interest. It's almost been completely obscene. Even when I'm looking around for the news of the day, for some reason, I understand the significance of it, of course, but everyone is focusing very heavily on the 12th and 13th of March of last month, where Bitcoin's price fell from, what was it? It was definitely not 9,000. It was like, what was it, 7,800 or 8,300 to around 3,500. And everyone completely panicked. The news now that we're getting, which is always why time is interesting, because as time goes forward, we learn about more of the past. Just about every single facet, every single corner, every single thing you can possibly think of. When that dip happened, while most people were expected to completely panic and take their money out of the market, this was actually the time where people were dumping billions of dollars into the market, dollar equivalent, whatever currency you're using. It was the dollar-based money equivalent. Into the cryptocurrency market. We don't know exactly if all of those were over-the-counter sales. One can only assume so, simply because a lot of that probably did not hit cryptocurrency exchanges. But even the bounce back that we had from 3,500 back to around 5,000 over the course of a couple of minutes is very significant. And it seems that that has sparked something within the cryptocurrency market. It could also just simply be within the realm of institutional investors, that is to say, very rich people. That might have been the number they were all looking for. That might have been as low as they were trying to push down Bitcoin's price, which we've also been talking about for the last couple of months. Every single time that we had a major movement downward, it was always the next couple of days we heard that it was from whales, who, according to me, I kept on saying they're trying to push the price down to a certain number that they maybe feel comfortable with. There's a certain point where if Bitcoin gets too low, it looks like garbage. If Bitcoin falls down to $1, everyone's going to be like, it looks attractive, but it still lost 99.9999999% of its value. If you get it to around 3,000-4,000, where we had it before, because also we dipped down to 3,000 last year, was it the year before? Doesn't matter. We still dropped down to 3,000, and this was still a big indicator that not only were people willing to buy at that point, but also the price immediately recovered back after that. So yeah, this increased amount of volatility shows that there are more people who are, why are there figs on the table? Show that there are more people who are interested in the market, at least at the time of me making this video right now. I just woke up, still tired. What's it called? The crypto prices are going up, and I'm not sure exactly why they're going up. There's no real news at the moment, but every day that we get closer to the halving, you are all seeing this as well. The cryptocurrency prices look like they're trying to dip, but they don't really go down that far, and then they end up trying to pick themselves back up. It could also be a number of factors. It could also be the seemingly imminent collapse of the current global financial system. But as of right now, crypto prices are currently up. We are not far away. This year, not the year so much, but the month is already kind of chugging along quicker than I expected it to. And as we move closer to the halving, I'm expecting more activity because I know, and I know a couple of my friends know, we refuse to be left behind in any type of major price movements. If we end up getting any indication that something is about to swing a lot higher, especially as Bitcoin's reward gets cut in half, we are probably going to buy, just because, once again, I would rather buy at 6,000 than 14,000. Just money logic. Let's move on. Tying almost directly into this as well, I won't read through the entire thing, but it fits exactly what I was just talking about. The global demand for cryptocurrencies is escalating rapidly. Back in March, the price of Bitcoin fell by nearly 50% in a single day. This might translate into a low interest in cryptocurrencies to some individuals. Indeed, this still makes sense when multiple billion-dollar assets lose around 50% of their worth in 24 hours. It sends chills through the nerves. Never heard that before, but it does make sense. Nevertheless, data indicates that the global demand for cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and other altcoins is escalating. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I would like to believe so much that it has to do with the fact that people are finally, it's clicking in their heads. We saw years ago during the issues in Cyprus when Italy was talking about defaulting on some of their loans and debt. This was 5, 6, 7 years ago. A lot of you may not remember, before Brexit became a big term, Grexit was also a very big thing. You can even Google it, Grexit. It was widely believed that as the United Kingdom was thinking of leaving the European Union, that Greece was also like, they were slowly raising their hand at the back of the class, like trying to see if they could also get away with it. That Bitcoin's price would also pop up as well whenever these events were happening. But now I think, or I hope once again, that it's probably... is accumulation a word? I feel like it's a mixture of people who are really going through it, who are trying to figure out ways to put their money into an alternative place because their current fiat currencies are either terrible or they are unable to take their money out of the bank, so they're looking for another relatively safe haven, air quote, because the demand will always be there. A lot of the discussions that people have when it comes to Bitcoin is Bitcoin worth it? And one of the people who I think we're going to talk about later on in this video, who you have to actually watch as well, when I heard him say it, it just made so much sense. He said Bitcoin is either worth nothing or Bitcoin is worth everything. You have to put it into one of those categories because the technology behind it is either going to completely change the world as we know it, or it's not going to do anything and we're going to stay in our current financial system. But as it stands right now, whether you are under sanctions, whether you are under... duress isn't the word I'm looking for. Whatever the case might be, we now have another actively working system that has not broken down over the course of 11 years, even when people have tried to spam its network with transactions that you can send money freely with around the world. And if we get to a situation, this is how I like to envision it at least, if we get to a situation over the next couple of months where things have not recovered, and I mean that in both or all three senses of the matter. You can use your imagination to see exactly what I'm talking about. And Bitcoin does rise in price. Even all the calls that we're getting from the major investors that you saw maybe in the last video, the video before that, there are a lot of major investors right now who are talking about that Bitcoin is going to double in price over the next couple of months. Between 3 to 5 months, Bitcoin will have doubled in price. Can you imagine a scenario where global markets continue to fall. We have a housing crisis, a debt crisis, a crisis. But for some reason, Bitcoin is one of the only or very few assets that has risen up in price. And not only that, but it's risen by 100% in that same exact time. We're going to have that same exact fervor and energy that we had in 2017, where people were like just trying to grab onto Bitcoin, to be able to touch its hair as it walked by, to be able to, get some of those gains as well, because everybody wants to make money when everybody else is losing money. It's kind of the interesting way to think about it. According to data shared by Yassine El Mandra, a cryptocurrency analyst at ARK Invest, a tech investment and research firm, search engine interest in the word Bitcoin is nearing its all-time high in several developing nations in South America and Africa. And this is where I think it's more interesting than it is if it were in the States, in Canada, or in Europe. People within these countries, like I've mentioned before, don't need crypto. It's an interesting use as a store of value and or an asset or a speculative 10-year thing. But when we start getting the other billions of people around the world who already are not banked, who have not had access to a banking system, and they are now buying it up, and they also, there's no real reason for them to have to, like, think of it this way. We live in a world where these people don't have to wait for a bank to open up in their backyard or to open up 5-6 blocks away. They can get a smartphone, which I know, I told someone before, I don't know how people think other people live, that people in Africa and South America have smartphones, and they were like, well, how do they do that? And I'm like, well, remember the smartphones that even we were using like 5 years ago? They're now massively discounted. So people in these countries get these phones for $20, $30, $40, but they're able to still upgrade the equipment inside of it, yada, yada, with the downloads. And imagine the situation that you don't have to imagine because it's happening. They can download a Bitcoin wallet and they are now banked. They now have Bitcoin and money to be able to buy things with. So when you are able to, you don't even have to drag in a billion people into the market. They drag themselves in because they're looking for an alternative to something when their something is not working out well. It says, interestingly, the massive interest in the world's most popular cryptocurrency has come to pass over the past 14 days. According to the geographical chart shared by El Mandra, the huge plunge back in March did not deter investors. Moreover, it appears as if the escalating demand on Bitcoin, or for Bitcoin, is translating to the whole world. Thank goodness. As per the recent report, Kia Wang asserted that Coinbase Pro has 6 times more buy orders compared to their sell orders. 6 times. Additionally, stablecoin firms have been creating hundreds of millions of dollars in digital currencies in the past few weeks. It was something about that day. I think that was the big day that I think a lot of whales may have been waiting for. You see exactly how far you can push it down, exactly where the bottom might be. And therefore, I think a lot of times, I think that major investors think that there needs to be an actual like slam down bottom before things can kind of move up. I don't necessarily agree with it. It is how it is. The point is, the demand for Bitcoin has risen exponentially over the last couple of weeks. It was something about that one day. I'm very glad that it did not shake or rattle or knock out the confidence of people or drop them off the tree or whatever analogy you want to use. But this is wonderful. In a time where things are a mess, 360, no matter which direction you turn in, it's just garbage right now. It's nice to see that people are understanding and coming to terms with the technology that's out there, and it's even more so important. And this is why the legalization of crypto within India is a very important topic, because if we can get 2.5 billion people between South America, Africa, and India, I mean, China is legal there, but it's not legal, within the purview that your currency is not doing well, your system is not doing well, there's a massive amount of corruption, and here's how you get around it. Download this app, use this currency. You are part of the world markets that runs 24 hours a day. No one can tell you yes or no when you can or cannot use your money. I think the other part is we have an accumulation phase happening now. But when we get people actually earning Bitcoin for whatever job they may be doing, that's going to, at that point, there will be no stopping Bitcoin. If you can create, or rather, the system has been created. It's here. It's now. It's in front of us. It's just more so, I know people, and I've seen other people who do online jobs, whether it be like white hat hacking, I think that's what it's called, like to see, you know, to test the strength of websites, et cetera, or even just other jobs on GitHub. They get paid in crypto already. This is already a thing. But when you have people in developing countries or slightly developed countries who are able to be paid, imagine you no longer have to worry about getting a paycheck. You do a job for someone, it automatically goes to your wallet. There's no 3, 4, 5 day wait. There's no, oh yeah, it's the weekend, I sent it Friday, I'm sorry. Or even just being able to do a job for someone, you tap their phone onto theirs and you get your money automatically. Like, it creates this really crazy system where even if you're working for $2, $3, $4 a day in certain countries, and you see the value of what you just made the day before rising, this also then starts to create, I don't want to use the word wealth, but it creates extra money that these families and people then have to be able to buy homes or to be able to rent easier or to be able to, the economy is there. I think a lot of us, I mean, we are not many of us in South America and or Africa, so we don't see how these economies are developing, but they're definitely budding, as it were. Anyway, yeah, I find it very, very exciting because these are going to be the main drivers for actual crypto adoption. They may be buying 0.01 Bitcoin, and that may all be all that they can afford. But when that happens 100 times, that's an entire Bitcoin. So imagine this really spreading rapidly around the world. Yeah. And this one as well. It says the crypto market just put in a reliable bottom signal. Can we trust it? A lot of people have been looking for the bottom, and a lot of people think that it may have been 3,500. We dipped, we fell back up. We jumped back up, and since then we have also been climbing rather strongly, as it were. But yeah, that's the that news. I have no idea what category to put that in, and let's move on. In a story that shocked me, may shock a lot of you as well. Where are the words? There we go. A Ripple cryptographer and software engineer has published a proposed method of ensuring more privacy for transactions on the XRP ledger. According to Nick Bouglé, who was also the head of Ripple's C++ team, tag blinding is the solution. In a recent GitHub post, Bouglé explains that the XRP ledger uses both source and destination tags for its transactions. Basically, when a transaction is initiated, the account doing this uses a source tag that carries information about the origin of the transaction. It makes sense. A destination tag then describes where the transaction should end. Also makes sense. Bouglé explained that while destination tags have over 4 billion possible combinations, it still presents a privacy risk, allowing an address to easily be traced to a customer. He writes that a possible workaround would be tag blinding, allowing crypto exchanges to assign multiple new tags as often as they may require to reduce the possibility of correlation to addresses or users. A blinded tag is mutated in such a way that it is meaningful only to the sender and the recipient of a transaction, but appears random to anyone else. The post also says that if blinded tags are implemented, attackers would have a harder time breaching any transactions on the ledger. However, he admits that exchanges might not be willing to do this as it would complicate their records and their transaction processes. Bouglé specifies that using blinded tags should be seamless. So, for those of you who want to know why I'm shocked, XRP was one of the very last. I mean, it's at the end of the dinner table that I would have expected any dev, anyone working on XRP and or ahead of Ripple's anything team who would propose private transactions for anything XRP related. XRP is meant to be used as a currency that is used between banks, between institutions, between remittance services so that they know exactly where the money is going, because we know how important this is for governments. So the actual proposition of this is completely insane. I would love if something like this were implemented. I think in the 5-year term, we are going to see nearly every crypto have some type of private transaction thing built on top of it. Once again, I assumed XRP would just not be in that discussion. We've had discussions. There are at least 3, 4, 5 proposals for private transactions on top of Bitcoin. Definitely on top of Ether, not XRP, Litecoin, other coins that for some reason are slipping my mind right now. So if this actually does end up going through, I assume this will rattle the system, as it were, because you'll have to then have a situation where, like, there are other crypto exchanges where you can use coins that have private transactions, but you are required to lower your shields as that transaction is going through. So imagine a world where XRP is used, but it's used in like the same way that like Monero and Dash are used. That'd be quite fascinating. I mean, it'd be another use case because it would have private transactions on top of it. I mean, if you're able to choose between a yes and a no of private transactions, I always assumed XRP was not in any gray area. I assumed it was a we are definitely on that side kind of situation. But how fascinating would that be if in 8, 9, 10 years we have like a cyberpunk 2077 situation going on, and XRP is used as like the coin of choice on darknets? I don't know. I play too many video games. Anyway, here's the actual tweet for it right here. If it goes through, that'd be insane. But I have low hopes. I don't think it's really going to happen, simply because I think XRP is not meant to be private, if you catch my drift. But yeah, let's move on. Next up, as much as 30% of mortgage owners, and perhaps even more, may default in the next 2 months in what might be the biggest sudden mass default in modern history. Some 30% of Americans with home loans, about 15 million households, could stop paying if the U.S. economy stays hobbled during shutdowns through the summer. I don't know if you know, there are a couple of places in here that have been the current situation is expected to last a bit longer than expected. A lot of places assumed that by the end of this month things would be hunky-dory, isn't the word I'm looking for, would get a bit back to normal. We are not going to have normal for a long while. It is going to be at least until September, October, when things begin to slightly maybe feel a little bit normal, but it's going to be a while. We also had the discussion yesterday about how it's going to take around 5 months for certain people to be able to even receive their stimulus check. And that stimulus check is only $1,200. And a lot of you probably know, over the course of a 7-month period, $1,200 doesn't really do a lot, especially if you have a mortgage and you have rent and you have light and gas and you have kids and you have a metro ticket, metro card, bus pass, whatever you need to get around. Doesn't really go that far. Reuters in particular, renters in particular are being hit hard due to no payment from the UK government, unless they were and are in a pay job, P-A-Y-E, I don't know what that is, where 80% of the wages are guaranteed. That's a promise, however, that this mass administrative undertaking should take some time, and that's where the civil service is exceptional. I can't read this. Something's wrong with my English. For the self-employed, Brits get no help until June, and even then barely any help at all. The government spent hardly a couple of days to come up with what might be a huge administrative undertaking. Around the world, don't just assume it's not just in your backyard, it's everywhere right now. Things are not looking good. The governments, and I think the no one mints, were expecting anything like this to happen, or for it to be as, I don't want to use the word severe. It could definitely be a lot worse. If you look back at history, it could be about 10 times worse, and that is not 20 times worse. It's not even half a joke. What's going on is people can't work. A lot of people cannot work from home. A lot of people just aren't being paid in general. A lot of people that I know have had their wages cut because there's not enough work. I know people who work in film industries and stuff like that, and real estate. You can't really do your job. You can't go onto set. You can't sell stuff. It's kind of it's crunching. So imagine if you had a mortgage. Imagine if you were relying on a reliable source of income that you had been getting for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. That's no longer there. Now imagine you also have debt. There are tons of people around the world, especially I think the US, the United Kingdom, and one or two other countries have like some of the highest debt in the world, like personal debt, not like country debt, but like people debt. All of this is going to cause a huge smash into a wall. You're driving down a hill with no brakes, and you have to hit the wall at some point. When people do start to default, a friend of mine, I don't think he listens to my videos, he was explaining the last 2 weeks how stressful things were. He works in not real estate, but he helps people finance mortgages and refinance mortgages in the States. I forgot which state he lives in. And he explained to me that the number of, the word isn't proposal, the amount of people who were contacting him had almost quadrupled over the course of a week. He said he normally gets tons of work and stuff like that, but he said it was way too much, especially when he had to work from home. He had to take his whole computer, go home, and kind of work from there. And he said it was just impossible. All these people after a couple of weeks were like, I can't pay, I got to refinance, I can't do this, I got to refinance. And he's like, he was looking through all their paperwork, and you get this like dreadful feeling because you have to tell these people, not only were you barely making enough money before, you're definitely not making any money now. And if you are having problems now, you're going to have to default, because within the next 2, 3, 4 months, if this doesn't get any better, your property will then become the ownership of the bank once again. So imagine hundreds of, like, and he's not the only employee in the office. Imagine this happening multiple times, and this was weeks ago. So imagine now, when people definitely haven't been receiving their paychecks or are waiting for $1,200. Once again, I have to keep stressing that the $1,200 is a bit ridiculous now when you say the number out loud. Everything that's going on is unprecedented in so many ways. This was completely unexpected. No one really knows the proper way to react. I think certain countries are doing a bit better than others, but we've still seen a lot of very insane things happening. And I think even what's going on may still be shielded from us. I think a lot of the news that we get kind of focuses on 19, as it were, as opposed to a lot of the actual economic realities that people around the world are facing and are going to be facing. So this leads us into that same exact discussion. What then happens with Bitcoin? Bitcoin has thus far been resilient in not also collapsing in a complete fearful movement downward. Even the movement that we had downward was falsified and faked because it was done by whales. There were no real people around the world who were like, oh gosh, I gotta sell my Bitcoin. And as the market recovers, goes back up, and is continued or expected to continue to rise over the next couple of weeks and months, I don't know. It's all, I don't think there is one simple answer. You can't simply tell people, oh, you can't pay your mortgage, better buy Bitcoin. It's a lot more difficult than that. But yeah, the world economy is already in shock, and I think there's a huge amount more shock that's going to be felt. But yeah, so that is kind of the news of that, if you will. For those who didn't see the title or are not looking at the screen, it says banks at risk of collapse amid expected mass defaults. It'll be, have you ever seen, there's a video on YouTube. It's like a one of those domino things, like, you know, like you hit one domino, the whole thing kind of falls. But this is done with, like, the first domino is no bigger than the size of your fingernail. It's incredibly tiny, incredibly tiny. And the person, he hits one, but like the next one is like twice the size, and the next one is like a bigger. And isn't it this huge field? I forgot exactly where they did it, but the last one is at least anywhere from, I think, like 5 meters, 15 feet. So like it's massive. And the little tiny domino slowly hits all the other ones, and then the massive one just completely slams into the ground. It wasn't animated, like it was completely real as well. This is what's happening. Except we didn't start at the mini domino. We started somewhere towards the middle, and it's just destroying everything in its path. So didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but it was, you know, this is the situation that we're in, so we have to discuss it in some sort of way. It can't just be like, oh, everything's fine. So let's move on. Next up, I can never pronounce his last name. Chamath Palihapitiya, the CEO of Social Capital, the chairman of Virgin Galactic, and the owner of the Golden State Warriors, thinks that Bitcoin could potentially become Gold 2.0 by 2030 if traditional economies falter. During the Pump podcast hosted by Anthony Pompliano, co-founder and partner at Morgan Creek Digital, Chamath, I can't pronounce his last name, said that Bitcoin needed a moment like this for it to be relevant. In his opinion, in the next 10 years, the economy will be at a crossroads. It could introduce inefficiency and costs and inflate its way out, or face debasement. In the latter case, Bitcoin could really emerge as a flight to safety. So there's a real chance by 2030, we don't find a way to inflate our way out of this, and that the only way to break the back of deflation is to essentially create some quasi-form of gold standard. I won't read the rest out to you. I typically don't care for a lot of the things that Pompliano does. I think people almost said something inappropriate. I think people give him far too much attention, as it were. A lot of rich people within the cryptocurrency space, people put on a pedestal, thinking that they are demigods in some sort of way, that their word just happens to be law because they have tons of money. However, I will say this interview is quite fascinating. It is very rare that when someone is speaking about crypto that the host lets them speak, and Pompliano actually let this guy speak. And the stuff he had to say was rather fascinating. I'm pretty sure if you YouTube it, type in this guy's name. I for the life of me cannot say his name. Just type in Chamath, Chamath, so Chamath, Chamath, and like Pomp. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. He's actually one of the. I had seen him around before. I'm pretty sure we've even spoken about this man many times before, but I had never really heard him speak. He is very level-headed. He is not here nor there. He is either a it's going to work or it's not going to work kind of guy. It's not so much a I can't explain it. You'll see as he's talking. He's very level-headed. He knows exactly what's going to happen. If this doesn't work, then you kind of move on, and this is how you continue making money. So I would definitely, if you have the time, listen to this discussion, because it didn't open my eyes any further. I can only open them so far. Like, my eyelids are behind my head at this point. But it was nice to hear a voice that wasn't borderline senile or someone else. There's someone in the cryptocurrency space who has lost it. You know this person. We've spoken about this person. They have turned their back on Bitcoin, and they have gone back to promoting scams on Twitter again. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, that was that news. If you really have time, I mean, not to be funny and or whatever, we probably all have a lot of time right now. So just take the time out of your day to listen to this discussion that they were having. And to finish things off, TRON Wallet was upgraded to version 3.2, and with the new groundbreaking upgrade, it has added support for Ethereum and ERC20 tokens within the wallet. In a tweet on Thursday, the platform stated that it was their biggest upgrade to date, wow, which also saw new ETH swap pairs with TRON, Bitcoin, USDT also being added to the wallet. Here's the tweet right there. In an official post on Medium, TRON Wallet stated that users will now be able to store, send, and receive ETH and all other Ethereum-based cryptocurrencies seamlessly and securely on through the wallet. Okay, it further added. They said adding support for Ethereum's blockchain is a huge milestone for TRON Wallet and a major step in the wallet's roadmap to become a fully fledged multi-cryptocurrency wallet. The goal is to integrate all the top cryptocurrencies and major blockchains into the wallet, with more than 10 major coins being introduced in quarter 2 alone. End quote. I found it ironic that TRON, TRON was meant to be the Ethereum killer, but it gets added to their wallet. So I guess they really didn't kill it. Now they're just kind of working side by side begrudgingly. But I think this is also, I won't use this word often when talking about Tron. I think it is a smart move. I think any type of what's the word? Loyalty to one exclusive coin is futile at this point. No one knows exactly which coin or coins are going to make it, and I think they all have a brighter chance at succeeding if the integration is happening this way. The discussion was many years ago that they would all be, within the next couple of years, I'd assume that's going to slow down, they would all be interoperable with each other through cross chains and blockchains and intermutable this and cross swaps and what have you, but this seems to be an easier way to have them work side by side. I myself don't use Tron Wallet. I will assure you I'm probably not going to use Tron Wallet, and I hate mobile wallets. I hate the idea of having my crypto on my phone. My phone drops, it breaks, it falls into a sewer, someone steps on it, just all those things that go through my head where I could lose my money. It's not fun. So I don't use mobile wallets, me personally, but cool for them. I assume we will be getting updates over the next couple of weeks, as they said, Q2, where they will be assumingly adding Litecoin, I dare say XRP. I feel like XRP and Tron just aren't friends for some reason. I don't know why. I just feel that tension between them. Anyway, yeah, Tron Wallet has added Ethereum and all ERC20 tokens, which is still, once again, I find the irony in it very ironic. That would be like the people from BSV creating a wallet and then at some point announcing, we've added Bitcoin. And it's like, yeah, because you had to. Yeah, all right. All right. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Crayola Michelle, URL on Crypto with Lionel. Tigara Machonisa, Bake Me a Cake, Arfmedic17, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bodie McBoatface, Yes to Crypto, Miller, Hitch Test Every Day, Kyle Skips Leg Day, Minting Coins, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Paxis, Crypto Beer, Shipmate, Vlad the Impaler, Richie Rich III, Nick Kanaya, Damian, Setsuna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Mill Wheezy, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe, 242 to the World, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, Brady Niels, Master Ventures in Thailand, Mohamed Maroni, Adam Graysick, Todd Mullis, Bare Bones Mining, A Bibliophobia, The Animal Reader, John Sarson, Mr. Pickles, Nostromo, Josh Gorsica, Chongololo, Songololo, Martin Steuer, Joshua Vineyard, Moonman High, XRP, Yasha Harari, and Professor Wiley from Gunbot University. Thank you all very, very much for your support, and thank you to everyone who is a supporter of the channel who clicked the little join button below. At the moment, you can see that the market is up. Tether is down. When I started the video, or rather like right before I started the video, I think Bitcoin was at $7,024, something like that. It is 56 cents away from 7,000 right now. 7,000. No real indication as to why the prices have moved up. It could just simply be a, who knows. I think a lot of the excitement is definitely back within the cryptocurrency space because the halving is so near, because I mean, Lumens is also up by 9%. So is Tron. This must be, I don't think Tron would be up because of the integration of Ethereum. That'd be really funny. I assume something else has taken place. Anyway, yeah, the market's up, at least for now. We'll see exactly if this ends up holding. Yeah, hopefully it's a good week. We are getting closer to that moment we've all been waiting for, that we've been talking about for years, the halving. Will it do something? Will it not do something? Will Bitcoin's price go back down to 2,000? Stay tuned next time for Transformers. I couldn't think of an 80s show. That was He-Man. Stay tuned for the next He-Man. Anyway, that was awkward. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all try to have a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. I know things are rough right now. Hopefully we get out of the roughness relatively soon. But I've been waiting for this moment for a while. I've been waiting to see exactly how the cryptocurrency market would handle a worldwide economic collapse. Just something tiny like that. It's fascinating to see the movements and or lack of movements in certain directions as these things take shape. Thank you all once again for watching and listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.